So I have no problem. I don't care how you feel, but I know Allah knows I want to know His Quran, to teach this Quran around the world. And so I began to grow in the Nation of Islam. I began to learn. I used to sit with the pioneers, pioneers you mentioned earlier. Many of the pioneers, well, a lot of them were in Chicago. And they would used to give me the stories from the 30s and the 40s, and they would tell us about, they said, the messenger used to tell us, this talking about the Honorable Imam, that later on you all would come in, and you would come in with enthusiasm, And so I'm sitting there talking in there, and he said, and we used to, back then, we used to have songs that we used to march by, So Kareem Allah, his name is Kareem, he later became Kareem Abdullah, and I said, what's some of the songs? He said, well, we have one real fight song, I said, what is it? And he taught it to me. We are fighting for Islam, and we will surely win. With our Savior Allah, the universal King, we are united with our nation and called by His name. So let us fight, you Muslim, fight for your own. He said, we will be marching. Fight, O ye Muslim, and we will all be free. Fight, O ye Muslim, fight for Islam. He said we will be marching, boom, 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 and they would go and drill this into them. So I'm fascinated by these stories. I'm fascinated about the story when they had the fight down on State Street when the brothers got. They had arrested some of the brothers and the sisters went down there, demanding, and they didn't believe in the devil's justice and things like that, and they wanted to throw them out the courtroom. And them sisters kicked butt, took names, so bad they beat the police up. This is in history. This is history. Go look it up. I forget what year it was. They beat up the police department down there at the courthouse, and they beat them up so bad. You know what they put in the paper? That they had men dressed like women. So I had, these stories always fascinate me. So I'm waiting for this great day, etc., 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 And so I became an honor guard for the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, And I worked around security. I became a security, top of security on all the business, the houses and things, business that we had all around. When we looked at things, that we were serving things to do something for self. That was the whole thing. Nowadays, our children go to school so they can go get a good job. Back then, you wanted to go to school so you can come back to your own and do something for yourself. We had businesses everywhere. I told the brother the other day, I said, let me tell you something. I think there's many places. And I traveled to all the cities now like I used to do back then as an officer. And whenever I went to a Muslim city, like Washington or any place where we had temples and mosques and things like that, we can always go to a Muslim restaurant. I said, now you can't hardly find one. A Muslim bakery, you can't find one. We had Muslim schools in every city. We had an ideal of doing something for self. We have dropped the ball. I tell the brothers that we have dropped and sat down. We in retired military. They ain't got nothing. They ain't getting no military pension and nothing. I say, and we need to bring back the love that we have for our people. Because we ain't going to get nobody. Most of the messages I go down to, it is a senior citizen corner. Ain't no babies running around. When you came to the mosque back then, it would always be brothers was making babies and taking care of babies. And they would get married and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We are losing that. Something has come over us to make us say, this is it. You got it. You got you some dhikr beads, a kufi, a robe, and some sandals, and you can do dhikrs around and say, Subhanallah, ya akhi. That ain't what we're going to. I'm getting mad now. But anyway, so here is the Nation of Islam that I came into. I came into the Nation of Islam, and one of the experiences that caused me to come into the Nation of Islam was Malcolm. Because when I was a black revolutionary, I studied Malcolm. I had all of his albums, Ballads of the Bullets, Message to the Grassroots, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I had these albums and things. But when I came into the nation, I got rid of all my fancy clothes and everything, and I thought we were supposed to have subdued suits and stuff, ties and things, you know. Well, I'm sitting there, you know, I'm looking at one of the lieutenants, he's in an iridescent shark skin suit. You remember that, them suits? Clean the board. I said, man, I got rid of all my stuff. These dudes is clean, you know. Anyway, make a long story short, I began to re-up on my, because you had to be sharp in the board of hell, you know, and you drive your Cadillac or a nice car, you know, and etc. Now, but anyway, so I'm at the Muslim post. And this is the first time I was introduced to Wallace Muhammad. Not personally, but I'm on, you know, we used to have security on the lot. You know how you had a lot? And we secured everything, man, outside, etc. And I had a memory of one time, I used to have 50 phone numbers in my mind of all the people in my squad. Any license plate car that passed by, I could memorize it, you know, because you had to know. Especially if a car kept coming around, okay, boom. You know, and so I'm on back post, and so the brother I'm on there, Brother Robert, we on post again, and he says to me, he said, there's Wallace. I said, okay, who's Wallace? He said, that's the messenger's son. That's the one that left with Malcolm. That was my first introduction to Imam Muhammad. I said, okay. So you know how you used to not stay on post, you get relieved. You know, I'm gonna take charge of the post and all take the property in view. Are there any special instructions, sir? Yeah, special instructions, watch for blah 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 blah. Then you go, you relieve your post and you go in. So I'm sitting down, because you needed to hear some teachings. You didn't want to be without the teachings. So here's Wallace, he's teaching now on a Sunday. And his topic is, I never forget, it was called the machinery of man. Wasn't the normal Yaqub's history and mothership talk. He was teaching on the machinery of man. And he said the machinery of man has become dysfunctional because he's out of his Islamic nature. He said, everything in the creation is a Muslim. What? Okay. And he said, a dog has the Muslim nature. And he does what a dog does. He barks. He said, when a dog from China come and meet a dog from America, they bark and play together. He said, but you can get a man from China come and meet a man from America, and they gonna fight.
That's right.
He said, the machinery is dysfunctional. I'm sitting there saying, this is deep. Because it's different. You know.
What year, buddy, man?
1972. 72, 73, yeah. You know, I think it had to be 72 because he had just came back. Late 71. Well, he had come back in 71 because I was in his minister's class. You know. And then he left again and then came back again. But anyway, this man, Imam Qasim Muhammad, he came back and he was teaching one Sunday. And he was talking about Islam very strong. And he was saying that you all have become pacified, wearing fancy clothes, big diamonds, and etc. And the people are suffering in the street. Our job is to go get them. He said you have to be able to sacrifice, and even if you have to shave with a piece of glass, he said, I'm willing to shave with a piece of glass. You know, because back then we shaved a lot. And he said, I love, this is Imam Qasim. He said, I love Allah so much that when it's time for prayer and I'm walking on the street and I got a Sun-Times newspaper in Chicago, Sun-Times newspaper up on my arm, I'll put that Sun-Times newspaper on the snow and bow down to God. I said, wow, this is Wallace Muhammad back then when he came back. Then, now, this is a true story. Those that was there and there, they can tell you. He finished the talk. You know how we say, is there anyone here that have heard today what you've heard to be the truth? You know, raise your hand. They raise your hand. And then they said, how many of you here, stand up, would like to come up and shake my hand and become members of this Nation of Islam under the leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? Come on up. So, you know, it was about 10 or 15 people that came up to shake Imam's hand. But a lot of them sat down. I mean, stayed there. And you know what he said? Now the rest of you, get your GD ass out of here. Oh my God.
Out of here.
I seen the phone pick up, so somebody was calling over to the house to tell him Wallace. Well, you know Wallace didn't come back in peace for a while. In fact, he had to leave. Now at that time, I was holding the security post where you sit like this, you know. And myself and Brother West was to escort. We used to escort the minister home safely, you know. So we escorted him home. So I told her, I said, you know something, Minister Wallace? She said, I said, you know why those people don't understand what you're saying? He said, why do you think? That's because you teach dealing with self and how to improve yourself. And they ain't ready for that. He said, well, maybe you're right. I said, where are you going now? He said, I don't know. I'm thinking about going to the Fiji Islands. There's something I'm going to have to do there. You know, I didn't know Farag was staying there at that time, but, you know, I found out later. But he left. And the next time he came back, now let me say this to you. You all know Benjamin Bilal out of New York. Get that, if he has them on sale, get this CD program he did on Brother Minister on the Nation of Islam. He did a wonderful job. I got a call. He gave it to me when I was in Massachusetts at the Imam meeting. He gave me a call. I listened to it. It was so alive. Did an excellent job. He's done an excellent job on documenting the history of our community. And he acts a one thing like he sounds like Imam. I'm listening to him. He sounded like Imam Muhammad, and he sounded like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You know. He sounded like Malcolm. I mean, he's doing all of the voices. I said, this is amazing, you know. But anyway, he's done an excellent job. We thank Allah for him. But, so, Wallace, Imam Muhammad, he comes back after they tried to sabotage him. And I'm skipping over a lot because this is a deep history. But when we write this book that I'm planning on writing, you know, I'm working on something called WD and Me. WD and Me. You know why? Because a lot of times when I talk about the Imam, they say, oh, brother, man, we didn't know that. You know, such, you know. And you need to put that in the book. So I got so many requests around the country for it, you know, of my relationship with Imam Muhammad, which was much more closer than my relationship with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You know, I met him personally up close and talked with him up close only one time, but most of the time I was on security and things. You just didn't come up and talk to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad back then. No. But I remember I was drilling the fruit of Islam, you know that. FOI, the name given to the military trained men that belong to Islam in North America. You see. So I'm drilling them, and Captain Sharif and Abbas Rasul, they come over and say, you got to go over to the house. to see the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Boom. Now, if you're going to see the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, it's like, get it together. He can tune in on you. I mean, you know, he can read your mind the whole 9 yards. So get yourself together. So I'm going over there, right? I don't know why I'm going over there. So when I come in, there's John, Minister John from, I forget what city he was from. He says to me, "Oh man, you the one?" I said, "The one for what?" He said, "I'm going to meet with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he's going to be sending me to San Francisco to be the minister there. And they said I needed a strong captain to go with me, so they selected you." I said, "Oh, I didn't know that." So I'm waiting. He goes in, I'm waiting to see the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I'm waiting there, you know, cleaning my mind, you know, make sure I ain't thinking wrong and stuff like that. So, so John comes out.